Right, we apologize for that. My name is Sophia Wanuna, our sign language interpreter. Tonight is Meresha Owiti. And we begin with the tragedy in Uganda where 9 people have been confirmed dead after an overloaded fishing boat capsized in Lake Albert in southwestern Uganda last evening. Police confirmed that 21 people initially missing from the accident had been found alive after fears that as many as 30 people had perished. Bolossat District Police Commander Rutagira John told news agencies that the fishing boat was supposed to carry only 18 people and not 45. Some witnesses told a Uganda news agency that the majority of the group that was heading to watch a friendly football match at a neighboring landing site were already drunk, including the boat operator. Now, none of them was wearing a life jacket as well. The accident comes just 2 days after another boat accident claimed 6 lives in Lake Victoria in the Kalangala district in central Uganda. Since 2000, over 250 people have lost their lives in Lake Albert alone, with the worst accident occurring in February 2004 when 45 people died. And we'll be speaking to Salma Namwanje, who is a reporter with Uganda's NBS. As soon as we get in touch with her, we'll get more details of this accident. Now, the biting doctors' strike continues to hinder effective running of operations at all public hospitals here in Kenya. The strike entering its 22nd day today, so very minimal activities witnessed across many public health institutions, with nurses in some hospitals attending to as few as 2 patients throughout the past 3 days. Timothy Otieno reports.
Empty benches welcome you to the Dagoretti Sub-County Hospital. The nationwide doctors' strike now entering its 4th week, leaving hospitals abandoned and nurses with not much to do. At this facility that handles mostly emergency cases, only 5 patients have sought assistance at the maternity wing of the hospital in the last 3 days, with 3 referrals being issued. Irene Wanjiru is one of the 2 women who delivered here nearly 24 hours ago. Staring happily at her 2.8-kilogram baby, whom she has since named John Njenga, Irene is the only patient admitted at the maternity wing of this facility.
Sikusumbuka, nilipata nurse mwenye nilipata akanitengeneza tu.
In Uasin Gishu, patients flock the county's main hospital, but with the doctors still on strike, many of them are left to go back home with little assistance.
Tunateseka zaidi hata saa hizi. Wagonjwa ni wengi. Hata mtoto hospitali nimezunguka sana ndio nikaacha hapa nimesaidiwa.
Tungetoa mwito warudi kazini ili magonjwa makubwa kama mambo ya maternity waweze kuattend. Lakini hizi ndogo maana sasa wanashughulikia sio mbaya.
A series of collapsed talks between doctors' unions and the government has meant that patients have had to seek alternative means in cases of serious illness. That notwithstanding, growing animosity between the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, who have threatened to stop the distribution of medicine to all hospitals in the country from January the 3rd, should the government fail to resolve the ongoing doctors' strike, and the Pharmaceutical Technologists Union, who oppose that move, may serve to worsen an already crippled health sector.
There's no way pharmacists can take drugs to a facility where there is no pharmacist who will be able to ensure that those products are kept properly, and if a prescription is done, then it is dispensed by them properly.
That is a fallacy. It's not true. Because in healthcare we have over 20 cadres. Out of the over 20 cadres, only 2 are on strike.
But even as the doctors' strike continues during this festive season, many are hoping that the stalemate between the union officials and government can be resolved quickly for the sake of those who desperately need critical medical assistance. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Let's take you back to our top story where tragedy in Uganda saw 9 people being confirmed dead after an overloaded fishing boat capsized in Lake Albert in southwestern Uganda last evening. Police confirmed that 21 people initially missing from the accident had been found alive after fears that as many as 30 people had perished. Bolossat District Police Commander Rutagira John told news agencies that the fishing boat was supposed to carry only 18 people and not 45. Some witnesses told the Ugandan news agency that the majority of the group that was heading to watch a friendly football match at a neighboring landing site were already drunk, including the boat operator. Now, none of them was wearing life jackets either. The accident comes just 2 days after another boat accident, and this one claimed 6 lives in Lake Victoria in the Kalangala district in central Uganda. Since 2000, over 250 people have lost their lives in Lake Albert alone, with the worst accident occurring in February 2004 when 45 people died. And we want to get more details on this story, and joining us via phone is Salma Namwanje. Actually, it's a live link. Salma Namwanje is a reporter with NBS. Salma, thank you for joining us. Now, this appeared to bear all the hallmarks of tragedy from the very beginning with the details we're getting, Salma.
Yes, Sophia, this is Salma Namwanje from Uganda. The latest we have from Hoima district, the district police commander has just told us following the rescue operation that was mounted by the Marine Police last evening when the boat capsized, the 9 bodies were retrieved and the 36 were also rescued from the lake. The accident actually happened yesterday during the Christmas festivities when a football match of around 40 people was traveling from Bulisa, that is Bulisa district, to Hoima for a football match. The boat capsized because of the problem was overloading. Because the boat has a capacity of 18 people, it was actually carrying 40 people. So it was overloading, and the people on board who were sailing did not have life jackets. So when they got the accident, they all drowned, but a number of them were rescued, and only 9 lost their lives. But the bodies were retrieved, and they were handed over to the families for a decent burial. So they were buried today, and the police, those who were rescued, were taken to the different hospitals to get treatment.
All right, thank you very much, Salma Namwanje, who's an NBS reporter live for us from Uganda. Now, Nairobi residents have been forewarned to brace for dry and difficult times ahead as the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company plans to begin water rationing across the city. The program will affect the city right from New Year's Day through to April 2017.
Acute water shortages are something of a norm in Nairobi. Some neighborhoods can last without piped water for weeks, even months. But this, starting on New Year's Day, will only get worse, according to the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company.
Those who have been receiving anything above 3 days and above, we'll have to reduce by 1 day. So it's not that we are reducing so much, but we are going to reduce by at least 1 day.
The water rationing plan will run from January to April 2017, but for some residents in Embakasi and Ngumo estates, life minus water is something they have known for ages since the major rationing of 2009.
Mara mingi tunapatanga mara 2 kwa wiki, lakini kuna wengine wanaweka tuseme hii automatic pump, saa ile inapita ina pump kwa tank. Hiyo hao hakuangi na shida, lakini wale hawana, inakuwa tu ni kwenda kutegea tu, unapata laini iko huko, kutoka huko unaweza maliza tuseme masaa 4-5 hivi ukingojea. Saa zingine hata ukiwacha mitungi inapotea.
Okay, siwezi sikia aibu kuongea kwa uzini, kitu ya kweli nimekosa maji for long. Sasa ni plot kaa 3 hivi nikihama, ni hakuna maji, so nikaprefer tu nirudi plot yenye imechimbwa maji.
In familiar fashion, opportunists have often capitalized on water shortages, forming cartels that go as far as converting waste disposal exhausters into water tankers.
We need to reduce the water production by about 16%, so that we are able to ration the amount of water that is in the storage.
Nairobi's water supply often comes from Ndakaini, Thika, Sasumua, Ruiru dams, as well as the Kikuyu springs. However, the prolonged failure of rains this year has spelled doom on a nation that is already considered water deficient.
We need to reduce the water production by about 16% so that we are able to ration the amount of water that is in the storage so that it can get us all the way up to mid-April when we expect the long rains.
The planned move by Nairobi City Water Farm means the daily water supply to the city will drop from 545 million liters to 465, a drop of 16%. However, even at the current water supply rate, Nairobi often falls short as the city actually needs 760 million liters of water a day.
Itakuwa ngumu, sio mchezo. Cause obvious, kama saizi ndio iko hivyo sasa hiyo January manze. Sitakuwa kunoma manze.
The only situation that will save Kenyans from water rationing is if it rains between now and January and water levels in the main dams will rise from the current 47% to at least 65%. Mark Namaswa, KTN News.
In politics now, Kakamega Town is ready to host the December 31st historic political rally as Kotu Chief Francis Atwoli unveils the Luhya community spokesperson. But even as he pushes on with the mission, leaders from the region are sharply divided over the planned meeting, with some dismissing the move. Our political affairs reporter Duncan Haemba tells us more.
For several months now, firebrand trade unionist Francis Lumasa Atwoli has been a man on a mission whose climax is December 31st, when he'll formally unveil his finding for the new Luhya community political fulcrum. But even as he soldiers on with his quest, he is cognizant of the fact that his move has caused political jitters in Western Kenya and is keenly being followed by other political players outside the region.
We are not saying that he will be absolutely be a leader without opposition, because the opposition is everywhere. Raila is undisputable spokesperson and political leader of Luo Nyanza, but he has opponents, people like Raphael Tuju, speaking on behalf of Jubilee. We have Kalonzo Musyoka is undisputable of Kamba people, after Mulu Mutisia, after Paul J. Ngei, but he has opposition in the name of people, or in the name of people like Alfred Mutua. Cannot rule it out. Now in Mombasa, after Sharif Nasir, the late Ngala and so on, Joe has emerged. There's no doubt in the minds of Kenyans that Joe at the coast is the leader. But he has opposition from people like Mungaro.
Former cabinet minister Musikari Nazi Kombo and some leaders from his Bungoma backyard, already embedded in Jubilee Party, are opposed to the move.
It is not possible in 6 months to unite them, a job that has taken others 50 years. It's not possible.
I don't agree with that notion at all. Luhya is Luhya, and Luhya is a tribe with 18 sub-clans, not sub-tribes as people are made to believe. And I'm sure, I don't go into anything that I'm not sure it will succeed. I'm 100% sure that this will succeed. This attempt will succeed 100%.
For Atwoli, the resistance from some quarters is not a new phenomenon, and it's not only being felt in Western region.
Look at the Deputy President William Ruto. He no longer has 100% control of Rift Valley. I stay with the Maasai. They have their own thinking. See what is happening in Bomet. Isaac Ruto has a sizable number of people behind him, and his Mashinani party is going to have MPs, no doubt, in the minds of the Kipsigis people. We have Khan, which is strong in Baringo, which is strong in Keio, which is going to spread up to Turkana. So Ruto cannot claim he controls Rift Valley.
According to Kombo, the push by Atwoli is coming too late in the day.
They have done it over the last 50 years. We were unable. Okay? And therefore, since we didn't do it 50 years ago, to try to pull ourselves backwards to 50 years, we will be left standing alone.
And whoever we are going to name on 31st of this month, we will not claim that he will have absolute control of Western Kenya. Kenya is a democratic society, a democratic country. And so many groups will emerge either to oppose him or to support him. But he will be the person enjoying the majority of the Luhya people. So I'm not saying that we can't be able to make it. And I want to assure people that it has not been elusive, or Luhyas have never suffered from illusory competence. Because even during Muliro's time, Muliro was the undisputed spokesperson of the Luhya people politically, with Daniel Moss in parliament as the chair of the Western Parliamentary Group. And Muliro still some people opposed to him. But the majority of Luhyas and other politicians across the country believed in him. After Muliro, we had Moses Mudamba Mudavadi. He had a lot of opponents, but he was undisputable Luhya leader in the Moi regime. And after Moi, Kibaki took over with the late Wamalwa. Wamalwa, who was now controlling the Luhya community. He had his own weaknesses and his own opponents. But Luhya believed in him as our first president in the Kibaki regime. He was our spokesperson. So it is not that whoever we are going to name, he will be there without opposition. But what we are saying, whoever will be opposing that person will be relevant. Because in the minds of the majority of the Luhya people, they will know their leader has been unveiled.
These guys built their mini nations 50 years ago. We failed. We didn't do it. And I've just told you, even at independence, when Muliro tried to put them together, he didn't succeed. Osogo went with Kanu, Otiende went with Kanu, Brud Nabwera went with Kanu. That's the time we should have also created our nation. So that time has passed.
So somebody to say, my attempts will fail after 6 months, when are we divided? That's the question I've been posing to people. Because an issue of division in our community was imposed on us by the external forces to make us believe that we are, we are divided. We cannot come together and achieve whatever we want. And I don't see, I have never in my public life next year, on 3rd of September, will be 50 years. I have never attempted something I think I will fail. I work on SMART as the requirement of the strategic plan, which says whatever you are doing, it must be specific, measurable, appropriate, relevant, and time-bound. And the time is now.
I think our route should be different. We should be saying, how can we join other Kenyans to be able to influence positions of how the country is governed with others, not us standing alone. Apana.
I don't think that Western lacks a strategy. It's somebody who says that and then it doesn't understand what strategy is all about.
The Kotu boss has been pushing for the Luhya unity by bringing senior politicians from the region together.
The Luhya elders, the Otiende group and so on. Kombo, was their first patron. I'm the one who set them up and met them in Kakamega and said, bring somebody from every clan and see whether we can galvanize our people together. It hasn't worked. In 2002 election, people say Luhyas voted as a team. No, they didn't. Yes, they voted for NAC but through different branches. Wamala wanted them to vote NAC through Ford Kenya, but people like Mudawari and group went with Raila. So yes, they voted in NAC, but the routes they took were different. So that myth about they had all come together is not true.
There is already a division. Bungoma, we are seeing in the hand of Jubilee there, Kakamega, ODM, Vihiga, ANC. Busia is literally ODM, let me tell you. I don't think Ababu Namamba is going to change that voting system in Busia. I'm seeing majority of them are still in ODM. I've talked to my counterpart in Busia. He tells me, Governor Karanga, nobody should cheat you. Busia is still in ODM. So I'm not seeing a situation where Western Kenya is going to vote as a bloc. I don't see that one happening.
I don't think in 2017 we can get it. I don't think so. So we should be looking beyond 2017.
I'm not a failure, and I'm a bad loser, and I'm not going to lose. So I want to assure Kenyans that they should watch on what will come out on 31st. And I've gone in every area of the Luhya residents, from Trans Nzoia to Busia, from Busia to Hamisi, in Sabatia, and Sabatia in Vihiga. And the answer is one, that we must remain united under one political negotiator. And that is the person we are going to unveil on Saturday, 31st December of 2016, giving Kenyans of Luhya region a new year gift.
So will it be Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi or Moses Masika Wetangula? Both leaders are the senior-most politicians in the region who command the two dominant Luhya sub-clans, the Maragolis and Bukusu, which have historical sibling rivalry. All eyes will be on Atwoli on Saturday, December 31st, as he makes that announcement at Kakamega's historic Muliro Gardens. Duncan Hemba, KTN.
Veteran politician and former Kajiado lawmaker John Keane will be buried on Friday at his Osilale ranch at Namanga in Kajiado County. Kajiado West MP Moses Ole Sakuda says Keane will be accorded full cultural rights that befit a respected Maasai elder on Thursday ahead of his burial. Our reporter Patrick Amimo has more.
The current home of the late John Keane continued to be a beehive of activity as friends and relatives converge to condole with the family. The burial arrangements are ongoing at his residence at Karen and Namanga. An interdenominational memorial service will be held at his current home on Wednesday afternoon.
He had put in a wish that he would like to have the Maasai rites of burial, and that will be on Thursday. And then family has also requested that we do an interdenominational memorial service on Wednesday at 2 p.m. here at home.
Democratic Party leader Joseph Konzolo Munyao was among a battery of leaders that trooped in. The late John Keane was a founder member of the Democratic Party, which was formed on the eve of Christmas in 1991 and served as its Secretary General after ditching KANU.
He was one of those brave leaders who decamped from KANU at a time that it was risky to do so, but he did it, and for that he's formed a legacy which will outlive himself.
He was a very strong man, very forthright. He used to speak his own mind. He never wavered.
He has really contributed also in the peace that we have. If you wanted an advice, you go to him, he will be very open, he will tell you. He will also stand for the Maasai rights and also the other Kenyan rights. And when he was fighting for democracy in this country, he was fighting for all Kenyans.
John Keane was a member of the Maasai delegation that attended the Lancaster Constitutional Conference in London in 1962 to voice the grievances of the Maasai community.
He always taught us that when it comes to three things, I remember. If it comes to matters of state, if it comes to matters of political parties, if it comes to matters of the community interest, drop the state interest, drop the political parties' interest, and go for the community interests first. And that is something that he has entrenched in me and in all of us, that we always look forward to putting the community first.
The late John Keane also served as an assistant minister in the office of the president under Daniel Arap Moi. He is survived by 4 wives and 14 children. The late veteran politician John Keane will be buried in his Namanga home on Friday. Patrick Amimo, KTN News, Karen.
An Eldoret-based lawyer has come to the aid of a 15-year-old boy with bullet wounds allegedly inflicted by police officers. The assistance comes after KTN News highlighted the plight of Aidan Abdirahman. Elvis Kosgei reports from Uasin Gishu County.
This comes at a time that the family of Abdirahman Aidan, a standard 7 pupil from Mkoin Primary School in Kipsaos, Uasin Gishu County, has been demanding for justice, saying the officers in question have never taken responsibility over the incident. Simon Lilan, an advocate in the Eldoret High Court who visited the family, says he decided to assist the family just after the story of Aidan was highlighted by KTN News.
Wakili ameamua kutusaidia kwa sababu hatukuwa na uwezo, watu wakuwa waliamua kuja. Wakili ndio ameamua tu kutusaidia.
And I have heard that since that shooting, nothing has been done. There has been no follow-up by the government, and I have come here so that I can assist them.
Baada ya maneno kuangazwa na KTN na polisi ya OCS kupata habari kutoka Commandant Region Commandant kuuliza ikiwa kwa ofisi, nimuuliza kuhusu habari ya mtoto imefika wapi.
He said he will take up the case and medical care for the boy and meet all the expenses until the family is fully compensated.
We support the police in all manner of ways, but we don't want them to be a source of harm to the public.
According to Aidan Hussein, the father, nothing has been done to the family despite reporting the incident to the police.
Hata understanding wazo ilimstua, imemchanganya akili. Hasomi vizuri, hata akiambia soma hasomi kwa sababu anaonekana kuchanganyikiwa. Yeye amefanya lose interest ya kusoma.
Kwa sababu serikali yetu ni mpaka isikumwe. Hawawezi kuona hii ni haki, mtoto apatiwe haki yake. Wakili atawasukuma na inshallah Mungu atampa nguvu na atafaulu. Asante.
Now, if you know about Lake Bolossat in Nyandarua County, but with just square kilometers of water, it supplies the Ewasonyiro River as well as the Thompson Falls. Furthermore, it is home to 100 rare bird species, but currently is on the brink of extinction. Mark Namaswa has more.
The famous Thompson Falls in Laikipia attracts lots of tourists and investors. But only a few people are aware that it draws its water from a little-known lake called Lake Bolossat in neighboring Nyandarua County. But Lake Bolossat is in danger. Human beings and livestock have invaded it, leaving behind a trail of destruction.
The lake suffers the tragedy of the commons. We call the tragedy of the commons, in that everyone can access it.
While the 39 square kilometer grassland area of the wetland zone continues to expand, the remaining 4 square kilometer water body is seemingly shrinking.
Due to farming activities upstream huko, sasa a lot of silt tena inaingia kwenye lake.
Hii nyasi sijui zimetoka wapi. Zinachangia maji kuisha katika hii ziwa. Hii magugu hii.
Land grabbers are said to have pitched camp here, erecting beacons well into the riparian zone.
Talk about quarrying, talk about waste disposal, and all these actually compromises the survival and health of the ecosystem.
People have a title
right up to the lake itself. That, of course, poses some issues when it comes to issues of degradation and conservation and so on.
Bolossat is considered the only natural lake in central Kenya. And worldwide, it is listed among the most important bird areas, or IBA, home to rare bird species. There are at least 100 rare bird species, including Jackson's widowbird, African marsh harrier, and the gray-crested crane.
It just has a big population of hippopotamuses, which is also found in the same area.
It turns out that adults are not the only ones endangering breeding zones of birds over Lake Bolossat. Children also have a hand in this destruction.
Sai wakati shule zimefungwa, watoto wamejaa kwa ziwa. Wanaenda wanashika wale watoto, halafu wanakufa.
There are telltale signs of potential for tourism and fishing activities, but these remain underexploited, underdeveloped.
Sana sana samaki zinapatikana ni samaki za catfish. Tunaiziita mandifish, lakini zinaitwa catfish kwa lugha ya samaki.
Tourism and fishing aside, what are local authorities doing to conserve the lake in the face of wanton destruction?
The county would like to also invite partners to come and try to see how we can exploit this resource.
Sana sana kwanza ni kusensitize wananchi kuhusu ubaya wa kuencroach the lake.
The lake is already under siege from farms, quarries and residences right up to its shores. Siltation and pollution threatening the biodiversity that holds the area's nature fabric in place. Great rivers such as the Ewasonyiro that serve several counties are already crying out. Already dry riverbeds seen in Samburu County. Organizations such as the East African Wildlife Society, the National Museums of Kenya and Nature Kenya are gunning for the urgent gazettement of Lake Bolossat to save it.
That will sort out the issue of illegal title deeds that have been issued, mapping out the area as a protected area, and then the animals will be there legally.
We can advance tourism once we have been able to deter all other competing negative impacts on the ecosystem.
Kulingana vile watu wanaendelea kuingia ndani na ipea kama miaka 15 hii lake hakuna.
The exact rate at which the waters of this lake are receding is not known. But one thing is for certain, if no emergency measures are taken to conserve the lake, it will soon be history. Mark Namaswa, KTN News, Lake Bolossat, Nyandarua County.
Now, Kenyan public service drivers have a reputation for being mindless, careless drivers who are a nuisance on the road. In Kitengela, we meet a former matatu driver who decided that cooking for a living was much less trouble than living from hand to mouth in a difficult job. But he's not an elegant chef inside a fancy restaurant. He actually carries a gas cooker on his back and fries eggs on the go. Here's Ashley Mazuri with that story.
Simon Thuku, a former public service vehicle driver and a skilled mason, has chosen a new path in order to eke out a living. This is after he was forced out of the matatu industry by the strict rules enforced by the late John Mishuki. For the last 1 year, Thuku has been frying chicken eggs and selling them to his clients, selling up to 2 trays at 50 shillings an egg in a day.
Nikafikiria ni vizuri nianzishe kazi nyingine ambayo inaweza kutafutia watoto wangu kitu ya kukula. Ndiyo sababu nikafikiria ni vizuri nibebe hii gas.
The father of 4 hangs a small gas cooker on his back, walking with it from one place to another, looking for customers in estates, along major roads and even in clubs.
Nimeweza kujilipia nyumba, nimeweza kulisha watoto, nimeweza kusomesha watoto.
According to Simon, the idea came after one of his sons was admitted to join Egerton universities. He says that the portable gas is easy to use and to maintain. Just like any other business, he faces day-to-day challenges. For such a small business, getting small change for his customer poses as a major challenge when he gets clients with larger notes.
Na naipenda kwa vile sio kama ya hoteli. Ya hoteli mtu inaenda inapikiwa huko ndani, hujui vile imepi, lakini kwa hii inapikwa kama naangalia.
While his jobs requires basic culinary skills, Thuku believes that education is the key to a better and self-sustaining life, claiming that he will fry as many eggs as he can just to ensure his children get a better life. Ashley Mazuri, KTN News.